Kung Lao.
Kung Lao is the first hero to die, but we don't get to know him well enough to care much. He has his Shaolin Monk's outfit and another one, which works fine for the Wuxi Academy scenes, but the Shaolin Monk's one should be his primary combat attire. He's voiced by Jin Hyung, who isn't given a whole lot to work with sadly, as he doesn't have much of a personality. We get hints at his Shaolin Monk's personality, but that's about it. Oh, and the only reason Kung Lao takes his hat off after beating Kintaro is clearly so Shao Kahn can snap his neck easier, because it really wouldn't work if he still had his hat on. For his X-ray move, he uses a couple of chops, not the razor-sharp hat that he routinely uses to slice people in half. And speaking of slicing people in half, Kung Lao has two of the best and two of the most beautifully gory fatalities in the game. It's funny that he has one of the worst X-ray moves, yet two of the best fatalities. But then there's his ending. His ending reveals that he's actually the reincarnation of the great Kung Lao, not his descendant. So the developers are basically saying that they've been lying to us since MKII. And how can he reincarnate anyway when his soul was taken by Shang Tsung? If Shang Tsung has his soul, he cannot reincarnate. Also, if Kung Lao and the great Kung Lao are the same person, then that means that whoever the great Kung Lao fucked to have kids is technically also his ancestor. Isn't that a lovely thought?
Jax.
I like the way Jax's metal arms look like they're actually fused to his flesh. They are, of course, but still. I do have to wonder why he wears armour on his torso, but nowhere else, and then stops using it entirely after he gets his metal arms. I also have to wonder how and why Jax got captured during the tournament, and why Shang Tsung went to so much trouble to keep him locked up, but then made no attempt to recapture him afterwards. You just see Jax in the background a lot of the time, just standing around, watching the fights. He's voiced by Gerald C. Rivers, the voice of M. Bison in Street Fighter. His X-ray move is a double backbreaker. I imagine he'd, I don't know, punch them? Kinda his thing. His first fatality combines his MK2 fatalities, and his other is Superman's finisher, but with an extra bit at the end. In his ending, he uses a computer and links with Kano's mind and imprisons it in the Special Forces mainframe. What? Well, Kano's ending follows on from that, so maybe it'll make more sense now. In Kano's ending, he takes over the Special Forces mainframe and all of its automated weapons. Oh, I didn't see that coming.
Kitana.
Let me start by saying that I never cared much about Kitana's story before, but I really have to give credit where credit's due here. Aside from the horribly contrived way in which she learns her true heritage, the writing for her story was actually really well done. Of particular note is how much more naturally her relationship with Liu Kang grows than in either Shaolin Monks or the movie. Credit must also go to Kitana's unknown, talented, and no doubt low-paid facial animator. You see, Kitana was a mask during her chapter. See that right there? That's a mask. So half her face is covered at all times. As a result of this, her eyes had to be really expressive to properly convey her emotions. And then there's the vocal performance by Karen Strassman. Let's just say that there's a reason I included Kitana in my voice actor tribute to Strassman. The whole thing comes together to make Kitana's story actually quite compelling. It's just a shame that the game that has all this was such a horrible, disgusting piece of shit that should never have seen the light of day, but I digress. Her primary outfit is the skimpiest it's ever been, not really suiting a princess, and her alternate goes even further. Her X-ray is one of the more ridiculous ones in the game, since you could never survive that. Her fatalities are a little dull really, nothing particularly special. Her ending depicts her befriending Mileena and becoming Charlie's Angels with her and Jade. Stupid. Plus, she already did the female fighting force thing in her Armageddon ending. Is it really necessary to recycle old endings for this one? No, it's not. They're just being lazy.
Jade.
Jade's first costume is similar to Kitana's, while her alternate is similar to her Deception one. She's voiced by Linda Lee, who didn't get a whole lot to do with the character. She's friends with Kitana and that's about as far as characterization goes. She uses her staff for her X-ray move. Kinda generic, but at least it's specific to her. Same goes for her fatalities. In her ending, she gets possessed by some woman with no name, explanation or clear motivation, and it ends. Why?
Smoke.
What the fuck is that on his head? Is that his hair? Fucking why? Why did they need to make his hair look so poncy? Other than that though, he looks fine. His alternate looks like Noob and Sub-Zero's, but more armoured and not quite as lame. I'm still not sure why they felt the need to make these armoured costumes for all the ninjas, but whatever. He's voiced by Ken Lally, who really helps get his friendship with Sub-Zero across convincingly. Just a shame that his intro quote sucks.
Where there is smoke, there is fire.
You don't have fire-based powers, you simpleton, you just produce smoke on its own, which immediately proves your line wrong. His X-ray move is a German suplex, which is awesome. His fatalities are awesome too, and finally make proper use of his smoke powers. His ending... So he remembers that he was abducted by a cult as a child and burned alive in a ritualistic sacrifice to a demon. He returned with supernatural powers and killed them all before suppressing his memories of the event. And his real name is... Alessa Gillespie. And now everything makes sense. Wait.
Mileena.
Mileena's primary costume is yet another overly revealing costume for the ugliest bint in the series. Her alternate is basically Kitana's but with a little more skin showing, and the third is that bloody flesh pits costume I mentioned earlier. Like Kitana, Mileena is voiced by Karen Strassman. However, Mileena has a very childish personality, which has never been part of her character before. I guess it makes sense and it does give her more of an identity, so I'll let it go. She has a pretty good X-ray move, mainly for the organ animations, but the second hit is just a knee to the face, and kicking the opponent in the face seems to be the go-to move when they have no idea for a follow-up. One finisher plays up her sex appeal somewhat, while the other is one of Kira's from Deception. If you're gonna recycle past fatalities, at least make it one from the same character, for fuck's sake. Her ending has her go sick and murder Kahn, all part of Shang Tsung's plan. Then she kills Tsung himself and sets out to kill Raiden. That's pretty lame, but my main problem with Mileena is that she acts so childishly, and she has those massive Tarkatan teeth under her mask, but they still play up her sex appeal in her costumes and movements. And she's got to be less than a year old by the time she's introduced, so remember that next time you crack one off in the corner over a third costume.
Baraka.
Baraka wears his MKII outfit, and his alternate is a fairly decent armoured form, which I'm surprised he didn't wear in the MKIII bit. Wait, I just realised he wasn't even in the MKIII bit. Fucking why? Where was he? He's one of Khan's top lieutenants, and he doesn't take part in the big invasion. Fuck, this is stupid. Bob Carter did the voice, not that you'd fucking notice given how little he says. His X-ray move, Nail and Impale, perhaps the most inappropriate name for a special move ever, is basically impossible to survive, but it's an alright move. His fatalities are actually quite creative for once, not just simple decapitation or bisection. Actual thought went into these finishers, which astounds me. In his ending he kills Shang Tsung, again with the shitting on Shang Tsung, who was posing as Kahn for some reason. Then Tarkatans become Khan's favoured race instead of Centaurs. But when the fuck were Centaurs ever his favourite race? I thought it was always Tarkatans. Fucking nothing is consistent in this game.
Noob Saibot.
Noob's primary outfit has a cool Reaperish vibe and I think it's awesome. The second is his Sub-Zero outfit, but in all black. His voice actor is Jamieson Price, who's also the announcer for the game.
Quan Chi restored me. Round 1. Fight!
It's obviously because he was also the announcer in Street Fighter 4.
Now, fight your rival!
He acts like an arsehole before his death, but is completely loyal to that albino twat Quan Chi afterwards. And he goes out like a bitch in Nightwolf's chapter. And if you thought his death was pointless before, consider this. can't Quan Chi just bring him back? He brought him back the first time, so why can't he do it now? Although I have just thought of an interesting idea. Since the Soulnado is a gateway to the heavens, what if Noob escapes into the void, much like Scorpion does in Deception, and meets the Elder Gods, and then they purify him, returning him to Sub-Zero, and make him their champion to fight for the forces of light? That could be a pretty interesting idea for the next game, and it would probably be the best idea they're going to have. Speaking of being a good guy, in the Shaolin Monks intro, Sub-Zero is portrayed as a good guy, whereas in this game he's portrayed as a bad guy. Anyway, his X-ray move is one of the most brutal ones in the game, and is also disgusting. His first fatality is a recreation of Noob Smoke's Deception ending, and the other is pretty cool too. His ending has him team up with Havoc and kill Shinnok, Quan Chi, and the Brotherhood of Shadow. Once again, Quan Chi dies horribly, so I like it.
Kintaro.
I don't like his face either. He's sure Sarek's voice actor, but he gets even less to work with here because Kintaro talks like a fucking retard.
Less ugly when they burn.
His X-ray is generic, one finisher is pretty good but the other one isn't. In his supposedly existent ending he gets big-headed and kills Kahn, big shot there, and goes on the run. Totally worth it. And his bio claims he was handpicked by Shao Kahn to be his personal bodyguard due to his ferocity, as opposed to being selected by King Jorak to make up for Goro's failure in the tournament.
Shao Kahn.
I'm not sure what it is, but I don't like Kahn's design very much. Maybe he's not as muscular as he used to be, or maybe it's a redesign to his costume, I don't know. And he never wears his cape in this one. Why the fuck not? That thing was proper pimp. He also has his DCU model shamelessly recycled to the intro scene. He's voiced by Bob Carter, the voice of Baraka, and he sounds quite good in the role. It could have been better, but I've heard worse. The whole plot is supposed to be about Kahn, but the end reveal with Quan Chi really shows that it's not. It's Quan Chi's story, and no, I'll never stop going on about that. And seriously, how the hell is Shao Kahn still alive at this point? Have you seen the stupid fucking decisions he makes in this game? Like making Shang Tsung fight in the most important tournament in 5 centuries as an old man, not immediately denying his involvement in the creation of Mileena, immediately turning around and telling Kitana the truth about her father and that he killed him, replacing the old tournament system with the new one, which, given Earthrealm's recent victory in the old tournament system, meant there was a good chance that he was going to lose forever, which he does. And of course, the big one, actually trusting that pasty bald cunt Quan Chi. With how staggeringly stupid Shao Kahn comes off in this game, it astounds me that no one's assassinated the fucker yet.
I am Shao Kahn, conqueror of worlds.
Let's look into that, shall we? Onaga conquered Outworld and you killed him and usurped the title of Emperor, so that doesn't count. You did conquer Denny and merge it with Outworld, so I'll give you that one. And you spent the last, 1,000 years? Trying and failing spectacularly to take Earthrealm. So no, Kahn, you are not a conqueror of worlds. You are an abject failure. A failure with no concept of singular and plural. His X-ray move would be awesome if it didn't take 2/3 of your health off the bastard. His fatalities are okay, but you'll very rarely see them. And what does he do in his ending? Kill himself? Oh, he doesn't have one. Good, less I need to bitch about then.